AwakenYaMind. Hello. Manufactured scarcity-based market, energy and mind control. Shall I just get you lot on here? Shall I do that? We could do that. Because I'm reading the paper and chatting shit, whereas you're not reading the paper, but actually making sense. That could be something we could do. Hands up in the chat if you want to come in and do some chatting with me about what we're doing. I know Pete's at work, he's going to get the sack, same as Mark. But is there anybody else that just wants to jump in and talk more cleverly than I can about this? AwakenYaMind, bonjour from France. Is that Derek? Oh no, we've got a couple of Dereks in there. I won't say who, but there's a secret Derek. And I think that's another Derek in there. If you want to jump in, let me know, because you've obviously got more brains than me, and we'll just make this a bit of fun, a bit of daytime fun, shall we? Yeah, I thought it was. Derek, do you want to come in? No pressure.
Do I? Well now, why not? Let's do it. Yo, real quick. Yeah, I was kind of doing a little charade there. How y'all doing? I just wanted to pop in real quick to introduce my friend Liz. And yeah, she's a really crafty woman. Her and her husband are really cool, actually. And maybe it's a little cheeky or, satirical with the language or the word nihilist, because yeah, they're far from nihilistic or materialistic and whatever the hell, right? And yeah, so this was just a quick impromptu little live stream that we just covered a lot of topics, so I just wanted to let you guys know what you're getting into real quick, yeah, so all I did was let me turn some more lights on. Yeah, she was talking about fossil fuel stuff and just kind of like that stronghold on the economy type of thing. And yeah, I always reference this term that Bob Tuskin brought up in his presentation, scarcity-based mind control. I think that it's so fitting for so many different methods of manipulation and dialectics and all that shit. Anyways, Hegelian shit, right? So yeah, it turned out to became like a wonderful, almost an hour-long conversation. So I wanted to share that piece first, I guess, and then I'll add on, what she was talking about from the beginning until I popped on. So yeah, yeah, we get into some of the geopolitical stuff, conspiratorial stuff, and yeah, speaking a good amount about like the tarot and mysticism and hermeticism, and tying in a lot of these sciences and arts and stuff, because yeah, she's like myself, we're tired of the doom and gloom rhetoric of people just always commentating on all the fucked up shit and not really having much empowering messages to go with that, or solutions to boot, right? So yeah, that's why I like to shine that hermetically sealed light, if you will, as best I can. I'm no fucking expert and stuff. I was really flattered with the comments and regards she has for me. So yeah, we went from like dragons to drag queens, talking about all these things, and I might have mentioned some things you may not have ever heard in regards to some of the symbolism of that, and yeah. And yeah, I ain't no fucking hater or phobic, bigoted person at all. You know what I mean? I just understand, universal laws and principles and stuff. And like we do cover, some of those, especially in regards to like the law of gender and that kind of stuff. And I kind of break down a little bit of and just trying to clarify these things, because people have odd idea sometimes of, oh, just like the masculine and feminine, and like not understanding just like these archetypes of energy first and fucking foremost. And yes, we can see them being manifested more concretely in the 3D domain or whatever, right? But you know, the hermetic principles tied to it all are eternal and non-man-made, regardless, and well beyond this realm and dimension. But yeah, so it's like understanding all these hidden laws of nature and the universe within us, and out there and all around the isness, right? So yeah, that good old Natty Law. What up to nattylaw.com? Theo and I got that website. That's the only thing. Whoa, I got too many references to drop these days when people are like, yeah, you want to plug in your stuff, whatever. Anyway, so all that aside, yeah, been a friend of hers on Facebook for a couple years now. It's just cool. A little back and forth. We're looking to collaborate, and since like a year ago, on and off, we all got our stuff going on, and c'est la vie. But it was never due to any type of animosity, mon ami. May we? So let's just, I'm just gonna get it rolling. And she was just rolling out the questions, and we're just, rolling with it. So it was just really, really cool, high vibe conversation, straight up. And she's from the UK, and I love those accents all day. And
definite cause and effect, making an effort to make it all connect, making an effort to make it all make sense, make it easy to see the intent.
There we go. Look at your background compared to mine. Look.
C'est la vie. Bonjour. How you doing?
Look at him, all professional, and how rubbish I am. Look at that. Absolutely.
Oh.
So what do you think of all that, Derek? Have you got some opinions on any of that we were talking about?
Yeah, sure. And it's kind of interesting what some people were saying in the chat. And I just got on literally just like 5 minutes ago, so I was like, oh, I don't know if I deserve to.
You deserve to.
Oh,
you did more than deserve to.
Cheers. Yeah, we all often hear like, oh, the oil, the black oil, it's like the blood of the earth and all this stuff. Yet, what would we consider lava, the magma and all that stuff? That's actually all the way down to the earth's core center. So yeah, I've heard interesting talks about that from George Cavasilis out in Australia, I believe. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but yeah, he gets pretty metaphysical with it. But yeah, it's just the comment that I made in regards to like the scarcity-based mind control. It's like they're always manufacturing the narratives and controlling it at a very high degree, obviously, even above top secret and whatever the hell, to obviously control the money flow and the amount of resources that the public perception thinks we have. And so it's our consumption and just like the fabrics of society are manipulated to significant degrees through all this stuff, right?
And it's with everything, isn't it? It's not just oil. It's with everything. They're doing it with rumors, that fear mongering. Water, water's becoming. Are you mad? Are you completely mad? Water's becoming scarce. I don't think it stopped raining in England for 3 years. What are you talking about? Food's becoming scarce. Well, stop blowing up food tankers and stop killing chickens. Do you know what I mean? What are you on about? Education and knowledge, that's the main one, but that scarcity of that, isn't there, with what the knowledge that they give to children at school and the actual absolute nonsense they feed them.
That's like a public, like elementary school limited hangout thing.
Yeah. So with regards to all of this, Derek, what can we do other than, well, you try and get the word out, but then you get censored. So what do you do? What personally?
Yeah, it's all about trying to align the most we can to, just like universal law principles and that kind of
Yeah, I
stuff,
agree.
and
I agree.
remove ourselves from the equations of domination and control, and yeah, this whole, slave system and what have you. We have to really be much more self-sufficient, and yeah, that goes along the lines of what the folks that are doing with off grids and stuff. And yeah, one should definitely look into the works of Nikola Tesla and all this suppressed free energy
Yeah.
stuff as well. And there's I saw someone in the comment mention 0 point energy, and I think you touched on it.
Yeah. Everybody, I think people seem to think that that's like the magic. Everybody's waiting for that. I mean, I obviously believe in it, and there's that thing in Florida, isn't there? Coral Castle. I think that might have used whatever that is, and whoever built the pyramids, and goodness know what they use something that we personally probably don't know about, but we can guess about. So yeah, have you got thoughts on that, Derek?
Yeah. There's something that crossed my mind that just hit me in an interesting way, and it goes into some of the mathematics that are kind of used that aren't quite the best in regards to like even something that's more in tune with the codes of creation that goes even beyond what people think is the golden ratio and Fibonacci and all that stuff, because that's kind of on base 10 mathematics. And there's a graph that shows like the Christic spiral of creation, if you will, and it's kind of like the golden mean, not just the golden ratio. But although the golden ratio, it looks very similar and stuff, but the zero is taken out of that equation. So how can we manifest that 0 point energy without the zero? And
Yeah.
with that in context to even Norse mythology with the Ginnungagap, and the cosmic womb, being the zero, and you can even take it to the tarot with the Fool card and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it comes again to the knowledge that they've suppressed. I mean, that certain people know this, don't they? There's a lot of people that know this information, but they certainly aren't letting us have it. And the closer we get to source, what coming out of Kali, going up into Dripara, they can't stop us naturally waking up to it ourselves. They can limit it when we're down in Kali, I think. They can limit the knowledge because we don't even know that there might be something else. But now we're starting to come out and we're starting to go back up again. I don't think there's a lot they can do, to be honest, to stop us, because I think we know it on an intuitive level that there's more, and we just got to kind of grow into it. And I think that's what we're starting to do now. And I think that's why they're pulling all guns blazes. Now they're going completely bananas to try and shut it down. But I have got hope. My husband won't believe me that I say this. There is no way of stopping this, this kind of upward trajectory, which has been going on for thousands and thousands and millions and billions of years. There is no way of stopping it. And I think that's what that's why I can keep going, because no matter what they throw at us, no matter they can't actually stop this, whatever this is. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they can stop the information coming out. I just don't.
Yeah, I feel like it's just getting out there more, and there's more people hip to the scheme, if you will. And I think we're getting beyond that threshold of like the chessboard, or more like the game, the whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Where people are popping up in certain pockets who are awakening,
absolutely, but yeah,
it's easy for them to see it. So all right, take care of that, and like hold my beer or whatever. Get out of here.
But I saw this meme, and it's like, oh, what can I do? I can't do anything. I'm just me, said 8 billion people. I thought that was quite a good meme. So each one of us individually, what the hell can I do? I can't do nothing. said 8 billion people. It's quite, I thought that was great. And I just think that since it was always starting a little bit before the pandemic, but since then, and now since all of this the madness that's going on abroad and like in Gaza and whatever you think about that, I think the nonsense that's going on in Britain with, you know, the left, it was always very much Conservatives versus Labour. Oh, got to blame the Conservatives, got to blame, well, Labour have come in and they're 50 times as bad, and now it's like, oh, and are they doing that on purpose, or are they just desperate because they're actually making people wake up with their own stupidity? I'm just wondering if they're meaning to do that, or they're just desperate.
It goes into some of the just like the effects of their own cause, and how there's just like this recourse, and how people would be compelled against or repelled by, you know, certain things. And yeah, it's like all the politics, you know, it's so Hegelian regardless, right? And all
Absolutely,
these
yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so it's really about people, as you said, like on the individual level, switching their mind state to really get out of this scarcity-based mind control and the emotional control, and how they control the narratives on so many things, and really step into their power and realize and recognize the magnificent abundance within and outside of nature, and the nature within ourselves, as us being the true technology and being those magical manifesting creators, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like what Mark's doing about, and it all, you know, the divine spark within, that little ball of plasma that is literally we're connected, still connected to the big ball of plasma, whatever that is, Brahma or whatever you want to call that. Can they put that out? I don't know. Is that what all this, we want to make people transhuman? Is that what all that's about?
Sure, they're trying to eclipse our soul, and you know, like the seed of the soul being that life force energy oscillating within the center of our chest. It's like that central sun within us, and so as above, so below, like, you know, connected to that central sun, like source energy type of stuff. Yeah,
100%. And that goes literally, I've got this in front of my face. As above, so below. My favorite tarot deck, but look, the Magician on the Rider-Waite Smith will yay fantastic. Rider-Waite Smith, because I'm very much into Pamela Coleman Smith, who is never mentioned, and she's the actual artist who did the tarot card. And because I'm a bit of an artist myself, and I do like painting the tarot cards.
Yeah, I love your works. It's great.
Oh, yeah. I just love painting it. And so we went to Glastonbury, can't remember, the occult conference or something, can't remember. I was chatting to the guy in one of the bookshops, and he showed me a picture of Pamela, and I was mortified that I'd been painting her art, but didn't know nothing about her. So now I've got a picture of her up there, I've got a book on her down there, and now I'm printing out. So whenever I do copy her pictures or whatever, I'm actually putting about her on the back, because I want people to start realizing who the amazing woman was that actually did the paintings for the Rider-Waite. So I like to call them Rider-Waite Tarot rather than just Rider-Waite now. Rider-Waite Smith, sorry. But yeah, as above, so below. He's literally he's putting his wand up to bring down the magic from there onto his table with all the tools on the table, which symbolizes the material. So we can do that. We can reach up to the giant plasma ball in the sky, whatever that means, and bring it back down to our own little plasma ball. It sounds like a nutter, but that's kind of where I'm at the moment, and that's kind of how I'm navigating my way through all this evil fucking nonsense that can bring me down. I'm prone to dark thoughts and darkness. The only way I can get out of this is to remember, actually, let's go back to the esoteric old knowledge and just remember who we are. Do you know what I mean? That sounds ridiculous.
No, yeah, that's one of my mentors, you know, told me this, like, this is really part of the true awakening, is really remembering who we are on all the light body, metaphysical body, you know, all these things, and those, you know, past life memories more integrated here in the 3Ds, to really anchor in the higher force here, to have ascension here and build heaven on earth here.
Exactly.
And be the master builder of yourself, and, you know, construct a proper hermetically sealed society, as I like to say.
And that's what it's all about. And it is about remembering. It is about remembering. I don't know what you think about reincarnation, and some people think that this is like this place, like David, like, well, yeah, David, like, thinks it's a bit of a trap at the moment, and we've been taken over by, you know, nefarious whatevers.
Right, there's the Phantom Matrix, Saturn Moon Matrix, if you will, type of stuff. Yeah, that soul
Yeah.
trap. Yeah.
And that does suggest that we've done this before, and maybe that's why certain things do resonate with us. Like, I've, you know, got a couple of lovely people have given me other tarot decks and beautiful things in themselves. But there's something about this, and then learning about Pamela, that's really, oh my God, I've done this before. Like, when I look at candles, my only bit of magic that I do is candlemancy. I'm not a magician, I'm not an anything, but there's something about that I go, oh my God, I've done this before. I get this. I know what I've got to do without reading a book. Do you know what I mean? So, and if you push into that, you're pushing into your ancestors, because I think we're our own ancestors, aren't we? We are our own ancestors, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and that's like remembering, you know, these are great grandfathers and mothers and all that stuff. Yeah, and I feel, you know, being in that place of greatness and gratitude, right? And it's also being able to honor the sacred masculine and feminine even more so, and on a more deeper level, and especially in regards to the sacred feminine, because that is the womb gate of this reality. And so it's like we forgot some of those ways of life, and you know, treating our mothers and Mother Nature with that reverence and respect and all that stuff, right?
Well, I learned something about myself a couple of weeks ago, Derek. I didn't realize, I'd never even heard of this term. Pete, you were there when I had this epiphany. Apparently, and I didn't know this about myself, I'm a TERF. I didn't even know what that meant. I'd never even heard of that. What is it? Trans exclusive radical feminist. Guess what? I've never been a feminist in my life, right? I'm not radical about anything because I can't be bothered. I get bored too quickly. But I'm not going to lie. If I wasn't anything, they're pushing me towards TERFdom, whatever that is. I'm being pushed towards TERFdom. And I'd never even fucking heard of it, Derek. Never even knew it was a thing. But I'm so bloody angry about, as a perimenopausal mess of a woman, I'm not going to go into details that only me, my husband, and the bathroom know about. There's stuff that goes on with a perimenopausal woman that only we need to know about. And so sorry, but some bloke that says, actually, I'm a woman, no, I identify as a woman, will never have to go through the shit that I literally have to go through. It's horrendous. How fucking horrendous. You'll never have to go through that. You'll never have to give birth. Don't fucking come to me and tell me that you're having a period, all right? And you're having a period pain, and you can give birth, and you need Tampax in the bathroom. That I get so angry, Derek. I get so angry. It's so disrespectful. And when you were saying about the divine feminine, that's what it is, and it's recognized. And it's like, know your limitations, know your lane, know. Even if you have it chopped off, you're still not a woman. And I get deeply offended. And I didn't realize that I was a TERF. Never even heard of it, Derek. But I feel like I'm being pushed. I'm being pushed into being this radical nutcase. Whereas I didn't give a shit before about transgender. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just total gaslighting, and their ostensible ways of their self-defense, kind of like in the same regard of how the abundantly overusage of terms like anti-Semite or anti-Semitic rather, or transphobic or something phobic, and all this stuff. It's like, break down that word. And no, we can speak from objective perspectives and just have our own opinions. It doesn't mean we're fearful of these things just for bringing something up that doesn't seem to be normal or quite aligned with and like natural law principles in regards to the Hermetica. Again, it's the law of gender, if you will, you know.
Absolutely.
That's reflected in language as well. Yeah, all these things.
Natural law is something that I started learning about it properly about a year ago. Have you heard of Mark Passio? He's a very angry ex-Satanist. He's bloody great.
Fuck
But
yeah.
he's an angry young man, bless him. But he was literally when a priest in Satanism for years, and then he's been out of it for 17 years, and he's been banging his head against the wall for years, saying to us, they ain't messing about. What are you doing, you half-hearted revolutionaries? That they ain't messing about. You're role playing at I don't know, truth, whatever. But I started learning about natural law from him, and now that's another thing I try to do is does it resonate? Is that natural law? I'm sorry if it's not, then I try my hardest to not go there anymore. Whereas before it wasn't even a conscious thought in my head. I just sort of you just kind of breeze, sleepwalk through life, don't you? And it's about stop doing that. Actually, stop sleepwalking through your life, because what will happen if you do that? You'll be sort of like pushed that way, or you'll be pushed that way. When you stop and go, no, actually, what do I think? And if that you struggle with that, because we've been so brainwashed for so many years, if you struggle with that, a good start is to go, is that natural law? Does that does that resonate with natural law? And learn about natural law, and then you've almost got like a rule book to start following, if that makes sense. That's truth.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And yeah, going back to just really awakening and remembering, I had like a interesting awakening experience where kind of felt like I got zapped by the universe, and just like like my inner eyes and ears and all these things were like really awakened within me, like a frequency shift. And like I was kind of just organically aligning to these universal principles, universal law, natural law. It's a great term that I learned from Mark Passio as well, and he infused so much great grammar to it, and kind of dispels a lot of like the new agey ness around universal law, and like just like we're all one, and all this stuff. And that's at the highest level, but we're all fragments of consciousness, if you will, like fractaled light from the main source, having our own unique conscious experience. It's a spiritual one, even if we have a meat suit on and all these things. So there's just a very profound inner standing and alignment to these universal principles and stuff. And a good book to learn about those is like the Kaibalion.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've heard of it. I've not got it or anything, but yeah.
Right, yeah. And it's like one thing it's like I almost did the reverse. Like I had awakenings and stuff, and like on a higher spiritual level, but I was lacking the just the grammar and just like nuts and bolts to really articulate it properly. And so the folks like Mark Passio and Michael Desarion and Thomas Sheridan and Seth Exposa, they helped me out tons. And Maria West as well. She's great. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And what was it? I quite like that you said inner standing, because that's something that they've used against us in it language. My husband's into this. He understands about all of this. But we say, oh, I understand. What you're saying is you stand under. But you said, I picked up on, you said inner stand. And is that a conscious choice you're making to sort of change your language to make it more, I don't know, what, meaningful to you? Or
yeah, and you're familiar with the liberal arts and sciences, trivium, quadrivium, and stuff.
Yeah.
And like grammar, logic, rhetoric.
Yeah,
or
I did a little video on it after I'd learned from Mark.
Right.
No, it's not great. Seriously, it's not great. It's not brilliant. It's not my best work. I still don't think I've done my best work, to be fair. But I did, because I was learning about it with Mark Passio. I thought, right, who would this relate to? And I thought, homeschooling mums and dads.
Fuck yeah.
So I just did a little video because I thought, I kind of don't get it, but I'm going to try to get it. And the way I learn is by doing. So I made a silly little presentation, turned it into a video, because it kind of gets it in my head a little bit more. But the trivium, if people don't understand, if you're thinking of homeschooling your kids, you need to be doing it via the trivium way. And when we say, because what is it? Grammar is the understanding of a thing, isn't it? Grammar, people think that means you're putting your full stops in the right place, or
grammar's the knowledge.
That's it, the knowledge base. Yeah, that's the starts from there, doesn't it? I can't remember. I've done a
The
video.
input and all that, and then the processing, that's the understanding, that's the logic, right?
And then
the
you can't,
rhetoric.
it's like if you drive a car, you need to, you need to understand that pedal does that before you even get in the fucking car, in a way. You don't just drive off down the motorway before you understand where the brake is. And it's the same with every single bit of language, but they don't do it at school anymore. They don't teach this way at school. They used to, but then it went to, I can't remember the name of it. What's the name of there's this, I can't remember the name of it, but they changed how they teach people in school, and it's kind of, it's not the trivium way, and so you don't get that deeper understanding, and you don't learn how to ask a question or rub it up against the opposite to see if it's true, sort of thing.
Yeah. What is it like?
I'm gonna have to find it. Hold on.
But you're talking about the Prussian way of the public schooling and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Oh, what was it called? I can't remember what it's bloody called, but they changed it, didn't they? And it basically, and it's now become where feelings are valid, isn't it? How do you feel about this? Or, do you know what I mean? What's your opinion on this? Well, that's all well and good, but an opinion isn't a fucking fact. You might think you're a fucking giraffe, but I'm looking at your neck. You're not a giraffe. I don't care if you feel like a giraffe. You're not a giraffe, my love. And it really has, because of that way of teaching, your feelings are valid. No, it's your truth. No, there's truth. There's not your fucking truth. And, Mark Passio gave this really good example, and I always talk about it, about how like a mum and a dad are having a picnic with a little kid, and the mum and the dad are just having a little bit of a cuddle, a little kiss and a cuddle, and they don't realize that their little 2-year-old's running towards the edge of a cliff. Just because the mum and the dad are loving and beautiful and lovely people, and that kid is so innocent, natural law ain't going to say, well, you ain't falling off that cliff because you're really nice people. It's going to let the fucking kid fall off the cliff. That's the truth. Doesn't matter how you feel about that. If you feel that's fair or unfair, natural law is just going to let that kid run off the fucking cliff. And that was quite, I was like an oh yeah moment for me, oh yeah, that still is going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, right. And it's kind of like the universe doesn't really care about your feelings.
Exactly.
Yet at the same time, it kind of does, but it's just, we have to see it in the regards of, cause and effect, the law of attraction, the real shit, not the watered down version, right? Of how the universe is mirroring our thoughts and emotions and intentions and all these things that are working, behind the scenes. The occulted aspects of ourselves, the hidden laws of nature that are operating 24/7. I call it also just like the science of life, if you will. And
that's why I love the tarot, because the tarot, they are mirrors. Every single one of those cards is a mirror. I fucking love it. And people think, oh, it's weird, it's scary. It's what you're talking about. Yeah. All you're doing is you're just fucking bringing up stuff from the depth of, from that dark, horrible nastiness that's down in below. You're just bringing it to the surface. I did a spread this morning. I was like, oh, I don't really like that. That hurt a bit, but brilliant. Because I wouldn't have brought that shit up to look at. Do you know what I mean? Voila. And I've been mulling it over all day. And I did another one a couple of days ago. And I'm like, and I am actually, it's like I am changing my behavior a little bit because of what I brought up from the depth of, it's just Jungian psychology, the tarot, isn't it? In a nutshell. And I like them because they are mirrors. That's what I love. And I think it says it in this book as well. Remember, every single card is a mirror. And that's brilliant, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah. Can I riff off of that and tie it into what you're saying in regards to, like people think that their subjective truth is, the reality before them. And it kind of leads into solipsism to degrees and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Which is rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what, isn't that what he said that Satanists will not allow? There's the one, like the biggest thing that they won't allow is solipsism, because it say, I am the only one. You actually, Derek, you don't exist. I've made you up. I'm the only thing that exists. That's what solipsism is, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those like satanic sins or whatever, or
Yeah.
sins within the Church of Satan and whatever. But I wanted to mention, in regards to the Hermetica and the law of polarity. I did a really interesting project last year in tying in the tarot with the first Hermetic principles, and polarity is corresponds to the High Priestess. You see the two poles, right? But it also represents, the pillars of enlightenment and all these things. And so, and this is something that it was difficult for me to fully understand because it's written in the Kybalion in regards to the law of polarity of, like they have a statement of all truths are but half truths. And they're like, well, if we're talking about the
Yeah.
trivium
Yeah.
and we want to have that truth discovery,
Yeah.
how can everything just be a half truth? But here's the catch, because it was written over 100 years ago, and it's the way they wrote it needs to be understood as follows, and it's pretty much what you spoke about in regards to people need to differentiate between their subjective truths, lowercase, but from objective truth, singular, right? So it's really our job in this lifetime to resolve these paradoxes and polarizations of what is really true and not true, and what we perceive to be true. It just needs to be aligned with objective truth.
Yeah. And that is a complete opposite to what they want and what they teach you, how they teach you to think at schools. Well, they don't teach you to think. They teach you to feel, and I'm all for men loving their children and not beating in their wife, and I'm all for that, but that's just incorporating the dual, the divine feminine, which is in every man, and the divine masculine, which is in every woman. That's just that imbalance. That doesn't mean be completely that way or completely that way. It means balance. Otherwise, look at the state we get ourselves into. We swing this way. Everybody's got to have their willies cut off, and then we swing this way. No, which is what we do. We go to this mad extreme of, like, I don't know, being evil to trans people. I don't believe in either of that. We just need to get there. Come on, everybody. That's what the secret. That's where the magic happens. Is when you're in balance with yourself.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, wow. The way you said that sequentially falls in perfectly with what I was going to mention as well, because to really be a proper mage wielding its magic on the stage of life, right? I don't know if you've ever heard this, but this is the 2 card and this is the 1 apparently, but she is supposed to come before the magician.
Oh, why?
There's the Fool card, 0, but the magician needs to go through the gates of wisdom first to really properly wield their magic.
Wow.
And to really have that true intel gents, right? Unity consciousness, pillars of enlightenment, masculine, feminine. I don't know if I did that reverse, but the intel, that's the intellect side, the masculine side. And the gents, the generative principle, the intuitive aspects of the divine feminine essence, unity consciousness, to really have that master builder I am, intel gents, right?
And it's the only thing that makes sense. But we've got to be polar divided now. You're either that or you're that, and the male has to either completely embody the feminine or take the feminine out. You know what I mean? A man has to be a man, or he's gay, but not just like a normal gay man. He's gay to the point of chopping things off and I don't know, just being ridiculous. And the same for the women. Even in just the way they dress and speak, and a lesbian, you don't have to wear a suit and a bow tie. Most blokes don't. What are you doing? Why are you role playing at something that's just inherently inside of you and a beautiful thing? Why are you bigging up that side and letting that other side of you diminish? You're not going to, and that's why there's so much mental health and depression and, unfortunately, unaliving that goes on when somebody swings there or swings there, because you can't be happy at the polar, can you? I personally don't think. I think you need to be kind of swimming in the middle a little bit. Oh, bring it back to there. It's like a spirit level, isn't it? Spirit level. If you put a spirit level on the wall to put a picture up and your spirit level's like that, your picture's going to fall on the floor. It's just not going to work, is it? You know what I mean? And we're not allowed to do that anymore. You've got to identify as something now. You have got to identify. I'm cis, apparently. I was like, what? You're cisgender. I'm like, I'm sorry.
And a turf. No.
I'm a turf cisgender. I'm like, oh, I thought it was just Liz. You know, I was just Liz until the other day. What? We've all got to identify as something, and we've all got to have an opinion on something, and we can't just say, oh, I don't know. I don't know. And there's something good about, oh, I don't know, because it suggests I'm going to explore a bit further until I do know. Maybe I'll never know. That's okay, because, you know, it's a great big mystery that we're all here to solve or try to solve. But no, you've got to identify as something. You've got to have an opinion on something. You've got to feel. It's like, well, don't prescribe what a human is to me. I was doing all right for 50 odd years. I was doing all right.
All right. Yeah, there's some interesting aspects I'll bring up. Yeah, when we're talking about, you know, sacred, masculine, and feminine, we're not talking about like the manifested, you know, attributes that we see as male, female. We're talking about more of the mental gender in the archetypes of consciousness, right? And energy. So yeah, you have the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, right? Masculine, feminine. Until it, as I mentioned, and yeah, with and it's like, why do people have to, you know, it's such a frenzy out there of, you know, why you gotta identify with so many things and like compartmentalize yourself and kind of having all these labels. You're kind of, you know, you're defining yourself, but also finiting yourself to those things as well. And in regards to the inversions with the extra alphabets after LGB, right? Just lesbian, bisexual, gay. They were cool. They weren't getting all fanatic and I mean, like, they have their moments of Pride Month and whatever, but, you know, they're not. And I've, you know, heard this from several really interesting gay bisexual content creators, actually, and because they're sick of hearing about this stuff. And in regards to some of the metaphysical aspects, look at the rainbow that they have. It's actually the inverted colors of the chakra. And they actually have there's only 6 colors, I believe, instead of 7 in regards to 7 chakras. And I think it's the throat chakra that's taken out. And that's kind of ironic because, you know, the castration of men, you know, that Adam's apple out of the way. So here's the thing that's, I feel is the reason behind some of like the crazy, you know, want to identify this so bad, and having, you know, their sexual identification especially be at the forefront of their thought process, is because, yeah, with that inverted rainbow, you have the root chakra in place of the crown chakra, right? So it's the lower senses that are operating where they shouldn't be, in a sense, you know.
But that's really interesting because the throat chakra has been taken out. That's communication as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And speaking truth, maybe, and communication's being closed down about this. We can't have a conversation. You're either that or you're a bigot. You know what I mean? You're either that or you're, like you say, something phobic. So that is, you know, I didn't even know that about the colors, but having the throat chakra color taken away, like you say, it makes all the chakras in the wrong place, but it also closes down communication, which is 100% what they don't want. They don't want to debate on this. They want it that way. The end. Full stop. The science is closed. Well, that's not what science means, but anyway, you know, science means trying to find out constantly and knowing that there's constantly something else to discover. But no, apparently not. The science is closed. So I think
Scientism, yeah.
That's another one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not looking at. I don't see any of the. Well, actually, oh crap. Yeah, did you want to respond to any comments or anything like that, or?
We've got quite a lot. Let's have a look. So Pete's put, any idea that is beyond debate, even if true, is dangerous. That's kind of the science is closed idea, Pete. It's, what was it they used to say? The science is settled. The science is settled. That's not what science is. If you're a scientist, the science is never settled.
Yeah, and they want to trust the science, but only to their convenience and narratives and stuff. Yeah.
Bloody hell! Thanks, Derek. We've just, I think that we were starting off talking about, I can't even remember now. Black goo.
Fossil fuels.
Yeah, we never even spoke about a dinosaur once in that, did we?
Right. Yeah. Right. Don't have a stegosaurus out there, people.
You've never seen a dinosaur bone. I don't care what you say. They're made in China. That might not be true. That's just something I've heard, and it sort of like went, oh, okay, because it's like not what everybody else says. I'm going to believe that. But it's quite interesting that, you know, it's actually coming out now that there are scientists saying, no, actually, what are you talking about? It produces itself. Oil produces itself. It's interesting what you say about the veins. There's so much in there, because some people say the rivers are the veins of, but then you talk about the lava, and then there's all the different, like with alchemy, there's like the fire from the sun, and then there's like the fire from below the earth, but then there's also fire which is knowledge and the great knowing, and fire that is plasma. And I think the dragons, I'm really into painting dragons at the moment, and some people say that they're the ones that give the energy or the fuel or whatever it is to ley lines, and you know, which is also kind of like the veins of the universe as well. So something going on, isn't there? There's something going on, and it all seems to be, for me personally, the things I'm just naturally drawn to: painting, listening to, reading. It's all kind of suggesting that the earth is alive. It's a body. And people might say, well, we know that, Liz, but there's knowing it, and then there's like synchronicities that make you know it, you know. And like hearing things about the sun, and plasma is sentient, and you know, it's not just this hydrogen bomb in the middle of the sun, it's a sentient thing, and that all lives within us. And I really do think this kind of knowing rather than just having heard about it is because we are starting to ascend out of Kali. And like I said, going right back to what we started about, they can't stop that, and that gives me hope. They can't fucking stop that. They know it's going to happen. That's why they're trying to close us all down. That's why they're taking the communication chakra away. And it gives me hope. And it's one of the only things it does, I think, that this is bigger than them, you know? This is bigger than all of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, green tea's a good thing. Sorry, Derek. If bones turned into fossil fuel, Bill Gates would run cemeteries.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
Yeah, going back to dragons real quick. Yeah, that's really interesting what you spoke about, and kind of like in alchemical terms, we see the dragon symbolizing like the will force and the ego, that we have to kind of tend those fires within ourselves, so we don't, you know, burn our shit up and burn other people up, you know, as above, so below, right? And so it's like the, you know, law of correspondence, you know, how are we corresponding, you know, with ourselves and with other people, right? Communication and all these things, you know.
Yeah. And these are all the things that are trying to be suppressed. And so I just get a feeling that the dragon energy, and I don't mean it in a bad way, because I always used to be like terrified. I used to be terrified of like that until I grew up a little bit, and I used to be terrified of like, oh, dragons, it's Draco reptilian constellation, Satan is scary. I used to be like terrified truther, but now I'm like, hold on a minute, the dragon energy, you know, dragons, fire, I'm seeing fire in a different light. It's the fuel, like you say, but like to push us forward, to give us energy. And like they say, the fire in your belly, you got to have the fire in your belly. And I'm wondering if that's what's happening to people. The dragons, because we went to see the Northern Lights in Norway a few years ago, and I said, that's dragons. If you actually see them literally manifesting from nothing into the sky and then going over your head like that, I said to Mark, no wonder people said there was dragons in the sky. It's that. And I think it's plasma. And that's what the dragon is to me. It's the plasma, and as we know, that's sentient and it lives within us, and it's what connects us to the source. And I've got a funny feeling that the dragon energy, whatever that means, I don't even know what that means, is waking up. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Bloody hell. I don't know what time it is. What's the time over there, Derek?
I think I'm an hour ahead of you. It's like almost 10 to 4 p.m.
Oh, okay. So
Sorry, yeah.
I might call it a bit of a day.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
all right with you. And
yeah,
thank
you
you so
almost
much.
2 hours, it seems, yeah.
Bloody hell. Now, this was going to be Liz in the Light, and I was going to be reading this. At the very beginning, very sad, very sad. I was reading all about the awful cases of some of the deaths in the care homes, and it's very sad. And then we got onto this, and isn't it amazing? I came on here just to talk about this, and now look what's happened. Magic's happened. You came on, and I just think we've had an amazing conversation.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for wanting to have me on. Like, it's lovely.
Well, we've been talking about it for ages, on and off, me and you, sort of like in secret, like little conversations here and there, and then it didn't never happen. So sometimes things just have to spontaneously happen when they're meant to happen, don't they? It just has to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But brilliant. Oh, thanks, Derek. Everybody go to AwakenYaMind, Derek's channel.
Thank you. Yeah, I do mix a good amount of like hermetically sealed concepts and things of that nature. Music wise, I got a podcast called Dissolving the Divide as well. It's kind of countering the old divide and conquer crap and all that stuff. And yeah, with all these dialectics that are polarizing people further and further, we're just trying to bridge the gaps, and we find that natural law is quite the common ground to build those bridges upon, I guess.
I completely agree.
Whatever,
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thanks, Derek. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye, and thanks for listening to us at this spontaneous I don't really know what it is now. I knew what it was going to be, but now it's gone somewhere else, and that's brilliant. That's magic. That's just magic, isn't it? You start in one place, you end up somewhere else you didn't have a clue you're going to end up in. It's just like we've just created magic there. So hopefully we'll do this again. I don't know when, I don't know where yet. He's waving his tarot cards. Who knows? But
there's a group you can
carry on.
You and anyone else is free to join. It's a Telegram group chat that evolved into actually doing live roundtables. It's titled Europa Natural Law, and it's founded by a few folks from the UK actually. So yeah,
brilliant. I'm not on Telegram at the moment. I was on it in the Convid, but I didn't understand how to turn off the beeping, and it was beeping so much.
I need to have like all these things on silent, like the notifications off.
Oh my
all that
God.
Stuff. It racks my brain like crazy. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
I'm just like, and I'm somebody that I just like, instead of just being all mature about it, I just go, fuck this shit, and that's it, gone forever. You know what I mean? I'm like, I ain't got the fucking time for this. But what's it called? Europa?
Yeah, Europa Natural Law.
Europa Natural Law on, what's it called? Telegram. For anybody that's still got Telegram.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really just a group of people that are just trying to learn more and, build up their grammar and competence and confidence to, put some of these words and works out themselves.
Right. A Europa Natural Law. I don't know if I spelled that right, but we'll go and have a look at that. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, be nice to do this again. It was great.
Yeah. Really grateful.
And have a lovely Friday, everybody. Thanks for listening. And sorry it was a bit depressing at the beginning, but that's life. It is a bit depressing, but it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. We literally proved that. Me and Derek, we proved it.
Alchemized.
So we flipping did, didn't we? We turned it into gold. My lead nonsense at the beginning, you got on, turned it into gold. Mainly you. It's you.
You too. Yeah.
You. All right,
And
guys.
listen.
Lots of love. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
Ciao.
So what's going on? Liz in the light. So my son is amazing and knows us. And he got Mark this for Christmas, not just this one. The light, a subscription to the light. And we decided at Christmas when Mark got it that we were going to do a monthly or something chat about the bits in there, but then we didn't get round to it. We've been doing other things. Mark's writing his book. I'm painting dragons. I'm a little bit over dragons now. I'm going to go back to doing other things. But anyway, so it just popped through the door and I said, oh, let's just do that. Mark, you got to do that. Mark, what are you doing? And then I just remembered that he's got a full-time job and I don't. So it's probably me that should do it. So we're going to start doing this now. Liz in the light. Now, I said to Mark, shall I do it? Because Mark always says I've got which the word I can't say, inimitable style. Inimitable style. So I said to Mark, shall I do it in my inimitable style? And he said, as long as you don't get us kicked off YouTube. He makes a fair point. What's all that mess behind you? Anyway, Liz, what's all this mess in front of you, Liz? I've been doing my art all day. This is where I do it. This is my studio, as it were. It's just my mum's old room. Bless her. Rest in peace. She's up there, look, with me. Look, if I get down there. There's my old mum. There's my old mucker on her 60th birthday, and there's me with her better roots. So me and Mark just took over this bedroom when she passed away. Bless her. Look, covered in paint. That's what I do. So I'm not going to have this is just let's keep it real. My inimitable style, the word I can't say. So this, because I was painting. This was Ben's conference, Dreaming Saucers. Ben, I've worn it so much that it's now my art t-shirt, so sorry about that. So I was facing that way doing all bits and pieces with my art, and then I just turned around and thought, shall I have the light, because I'm going to be talking about the light, shall I have that on in the background, or shall I just like keep it real and show you the absolute disaster I am living in? Oh look, I've gone all bloody dark. So Liz in the light, in a dingy dark room. I'm going to be talking about bits and pieces that are in the light newspaper. Like I say, we were going to start doing this in January, we just didn't get around to it. So straight off the bat, do you know what the light is, by the way? So the light, the Uncensored Truth, a free truth paper, www.thelightpaper.co.uk. Subscribe, please support us, pass me on, donate. Well, there's not really any way I can pass this on because it might mean bumping in and talking to people in real life, and I don't like doing that very much. So I thought the way I can pass it on is to do this in my inimitable style, which is a euphemism for probably swearing, but that's okay. I'll be using code words because we don't want to get kicked off of here, not really. So one of my favourites, that's the old jibber jabber. I'll be using things like that because basically if this is a truth paper and we want to talk about the truth, well, we know YouTube don't like that. I'm just getting me bits and pieces together. YouTube don't like the truth, do it? So I'll be using my inimitable style, as Mark calls it, and using code words. So should we just get on with it? I'm bored of myself. Are you bored? I'm bored. Oh, Johnny. Hi, Johnny. Oh, I hope it'll be interesting. Yeah. So I'm hoping to do it once a month. We've got a couple to catch up on from January and February. Let's have a little look-see. So straight off the bat, if I read that headline out, I'd be kicked off of YouTube, wouldn't I? And we're only just about starting to get a following, so I don't want to do that. So let's have a look. The top banner is Digital identity looms for us all. Dystopian world of total surveillance emerging as reality. That's on page 4. I'm going to do it in order. Okay, so I'm going to start from the front. Were 55,000, got to use the code words, by the NHS. Official statistics show horrific events. This is by Jackie Devoy. Report claims systematic involuntary euthanasia. Is that going to get me kicked off? I don't know. In health service. Dangerous protocol slammed by panel of experts, including doctors and professors. Midazolam with morphine suppresses respiratory system, but still pushed on the C word patients. Disclaimer, if this does get us kicked off, Mark, the less nihilistic Mark has got a channel. That's my husband. I've got a channel called the Crafty Optimist, which is mainly art, but we could use it for this if things went a bit pear-shaped. There's also another thing called TCN, the Crafty Nihilist. So if this does get us kicked off, we're not going anywhere, but we just carry on. Right, from 2020 to the present day, I've spent hundreds of hours talking to people whose loved ones had their deaths hastened via NICE, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, guideline NG 163, which recommended the combined use of midazolam and morphine to treat COVID. It's going to be difficult, this. And we're on Rumble. Mark's in the chat. All right, Mark. A study by Dr. Wilson Tsai found a strong correlation between midazolam use and excess in 2020. I'm getting muddled up. I'm getting me code words muddled up, and I. Okay, in 2020, and suggested it was highly likely that the UK's excess were tied to midazolam use and not to a virus. Am I allowed to say, Mark? Am I allowed to say virus? Am I allowed to say midazolam? What do you think? Titled Excess in the United Kingdom, midazolam and euthanasia. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. What a mad world we live in when you think about it. That I've got to say, am I allowed to say that word? But we live in a totally free society, so I don't know what you're moaning about, conspiracy theorist. Plandemic, can't say anything. Mark's just said I can't say anything. What the f am I doing on here then? What the fuck am I doing on here then? Anyway, maybe she's just painting something. Probably a dragon. It examines UK data and argues that excess, especially in April 2020, were not mainly due to SARS-CoV-2 virus as maintained by the media. I'm probably going to get a blue box if I don't get kicked off. But linked to excessive midazolam use. And the conclusion suggests possible systematic involuntary within the NHS. I know I said it, Mark. I've said it all. Don't blame me. The evidence leans towards a high correlation, over 90%, between midazolam use and the excess across England in 2020. This correlation persisted post in 2021, with no significant link to C word. This is ridiculous. I wouldn't want to listen to this. But that's what you got to be. You got to be like a 5-year-old at school on YouTube. But it's fine. There's absolutely no censorship. It's all fine. Raising questions about the role of midazolam played in these. Dr. Tsai points out that unlike Australia, where excess were more tied to COVID, the UK's excess seem more linked to midazolam. The official story is that in 2020, the UK recorded approximately 705, I can't even read it out, I don't even know what this number means, 705,636. I have no idea what that number is, big long number. I don't do maths, I do art, all right? I did typing instead of geography, so I don't know where I am either, but I can paint you a picture of it. That's as good as it gets. Quite a lot of deaths. with around 74.917 attributed to the old attributed to COVID. Mark, I'm getting all confused with what I can and can't say here. Excess, this is my immutable style. So if you don't like it, wait for Mark to do something clever, because this is the other half of it. Sorry. Excess is estimated 50,000 to 60,000 above historical averages were largely, according to the government narrative, linked to the pandemic's impact. Dr. Tsai's study tells a different story. Midazolam is most commonly used for sedation in intensive care units, for severe epilepsy, and in palliative end-of-life care to manage extreme agitation or restlessness. I think that's what they were giving my mum, innit, Mark? Bless her. In March 2020, then Health Secretary Matt Hancock ordered a huge supply of the drug from a factory in France. Around the same time, NICE guideline NG163 was introduced. The protocol is intended for C-word, which was criticised by a panel of doctors and professors for being dangerous, because midazolam combined with morphine suppresses the respiratory system. Shortly after this, the huge spike in care home and hospital occurred. Families had discovered their relatives, most in care homes or hospitals, had been given deadly cocktails of midazolam and morphine and had as a result. These victims were not terminally ill. They weren't suffering from a virus, and many were not elderly. I think this one's good. It might just get us a warning, babe. I don't know. I'm talking to Mark. He's in the thing. Dr. Wilson Tsai, who is Director of Investment Research in Australia, conducted this study to analyse macro data from the United Kingdom, focusing on excess in 2020 and their potential causes. Published on February the 15th, 2024, the study involved the analysis of all cause and excess mortality data sourced from the Office for National Statistics. During this analysis, Dr. Tsai identified significant anomalies and inconsistencies in existing explanations which attribute to the C word. He puts forward the argument that the widespread and persistent use of midazolam suggests a possible policy of systematic, involuntary euthanasia. Continue on page 2. For people that don't know what I'm doing, I'm reading The Light. Liz in the Light, I thought it sounded quite good. Oh God, we got bloody pictures. That's going to make me cry, innit? I don't think we'll be able to do the whole paper, Mark. This finding incontrovertibly shifts the narrative from viral impact to medical intervention, challenging official accounts that attributed it to the V word. The study also notes uniform and simultaneous spikes in excess across regions. Hi, Pete. Don't get the sack because of me. I'm reading The Light. But I'm doing strange. Oh, hi, Mab, you better not be driving that bus while you're looking at this. I'm having to use strange words and noises because YouTube's fascist. So here we go. The study also notes uniform and simultaneous spikes in excess deaths across regions, inconsistent with natural contagion patterns, further supporting the involuntary euthanasia hypothesis. In summary, the study's data showed excess appeared simultaneously across all English regions, inconsistent with the natural spread of a contagion. Jimmy Raw. Yeah, that's a new medical term. Yeah. Samantha, hello. I'm just reading The Light, if anybody's interested. And I keep having to say I'm coming up with words and strange noises to try and censor myself, and sometimes I forget. So we might not be here this time next week. Right. NHS and Nightingale hospitals were mostly empty, confirming the absence of a pandemic. The UK government, Amnesty International and the Care Quality Commission acknowledge systematic dysfunctions, including widespread use of do not attempt cardiopulmonary resurrection notices, which also combine to excess deaths. I'm getting a bit angry with this now. I'm getting a bit angry with this. Public and independent media reactions have amplified the study's claims, suggesting thousands of elderly were involuntarily euthanized to inflate C-word death statistics. That's a good sentence, isn't it? Let's do that one again. A lot of acting. This is a good job I'm an actress. Thousands of elderly were involuntary to inflate C-word statistics. That needs practicing, just that sentence alone, to be honest. Dr. Tsai's study presents a provocative analysis suggesting midazolam was used, indeed a major factor in UK excess during the pandemic, potentially indicating the systematic involuntary use of up to 60,000 individuals. Gets me a bit cross, this does. We got pictures of people, it's going to make me cry. I'm perimenopausal. I'm prone to excessive emotional outbursts. So there's that. Statistics of the COVID-19 pandemic in the United Kingdom. Oh, this is just a list of places where you can get this evidence, you know, where you can do the research. So that's a tiny, do you know what? I don't even know. You can have a look at that. You can't see it. Have a look on the light on the internet. There's loads of little really difficult things to read out here that I can't be bothered. Jackie Devoy talks to 5 relatives of victims of involuntary euthanasia in UK hospitals. 5 years of midazolam. I'll put it up. God. 5 years of midazolam. You see that? Very sad. Very sad. Let's just read some of these by way of... Oh, and look at this. Prick. Can you see that? Look at that fake see you next Tuesday and his fake tears laughing. Thomas Sheridan says it's Jupiter's delight. That fucking bastard. Look at him. Look at that one. He's going... That's a psychopath, if ever you were wondering what a psychopath looks like. It looks like that. 2020. So let's read some of these poor people's stories. Bless her. Jackie Devoy, Deevoy, talks to 5 relatives of the victims. Okay. This is going to be sad. Linda and daughter Margaret. Let's get a picture of them. By way of memorial. Let's just do it. Bless her. Linda and daughter Margaret. There they are. Bless them. By mid-April, they were giving her midazolam and morphine. All her other regular meds had been stopped. She was only in hospital for 6 weeks, but went from 12 stone in weight to 7.5 stone. So she was obviously being starved. Fucking hell. She died on May the 11th. I literally want to do this. I'm getting angry now, you see. I'm angry with the world now, you see. And I'm definitely not going to be silenced anymore. And I know you don't believe it, that me silenced, but I've been silencing and censoring myself for a while, and I'm not doing it anymore because the hour is too late, I feel. We got to open our big gobs if we got big gobs, and I got a big gob, so it's about time I started opening it, I think. Just saying. I later saw on her medical records that just before she was given a huge 50 milligram dose of midazolam. Wonder if that word would get us censored. Plus other opioid medication. I used to be a drug and alcohol worker. You're not supposed to be mixing up your drugs like this, and especially doctors and nurses aren't supposed to be mixing them up and giving them to you. That's just fucking ridiculous. I was horrified to read that she'd been prone in her bed and had mittens put on to stop her pulling out the ETT, endotracheal tube. So they tied her down, basically. There was also the mention in the notes of a phone call between my sister and a nurse. When the nurse held the phone to my mum's ear, the nurse had noted in the records that the patient heard daughter's voice and was moving her head from side to side. Oh my God. Because don't forget, they weren't allowed to visit them. I believe Mum knew they were killing her and there was nothing she could do. Every day is a battle without her. I'm going to struggle reading this. So Margaret Allen. My mum Linda Allen was 69 years old when she was sent by her GP to hospital on March the 31st, 2020 for a bowel problem. The ambulance came and a paramedic told Mum she had symptoms of C word. She was admitted to the University Hospital of Wales and Cardiff. This is just going to make me cry. So the next one is Jan Kumar. So there's Jan. This is by way of memorial to these poor people. You see, oh Christ, I'm covering her. Might help if you didn't cover her face, bless her. Let's have a little read. I will be crying. That's because I'm not a psychopath, Matt Wancock. Jan Kumar. My father, Dr. Trincomalee, died at Morrison Hospital in Swansea on August the 3rd, 2023, aged 89. He was admitted with shortness of breath. He was treated cruelly. He described two of the nurses as a lethal combination. They kept his oxygen low and forced him to take liquid morphine. A physician associate made major decisions about his care. My dad thought she was a doctor and believed that she was telling him, including the news, that he was going to die imminently. The consultant suggested giving my father morphine and midazolam. He was not in pain. He was still writing his diary, watching TV, reading and sending texts. Following a consultation, it was agreed my father would be given more time. Unbeknown to us, my father's medication had been withdrawn, causing hypertensive crisis. There are barely any nurse's notes for that night. After my father had midazolam injected into his abdomen, he lost consciousness. I waited for 5 hours, willing him to wake up. Until the moment his heart stopped beating, I still held on to hope that he'd pull through. Next one, Angelina McLaughlin. I know, Samantha, I'm just so sad reading this. You know, I've got bloody... I don't usually go there, but I think we're in danger of becoming heartless bastards in this world so full of death, murder, destruction. We're all... So it's almost like I'm doing my shadow work live on air here. So this is a... There he is. Bless him. So this is Angela McLaughlin talking, and her husband Joey. On Christmas Day 2021, my husband Joseph McLaughlin went into Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow with a swollen arm. He was diagnosed with C word, so I wasn't allowed to visit him. On December the 28th, they let me in. Joey was comatose and choking on his own fluid. He was laid flat on his back, had no blanket and was freezing cold. His arm had been left to go gangrenous and the gangrene had spread to his shoulder. Well, I mean, let's be fair to the medical staff. They had to practice those TikTok dances. I mean, fucking patients needing to be fed, watered and looked after. Surely we can all appreciate that dancing is more important. On December the 28th, they let me in. I've done that. He died that day. He was 73 years old. I demanded a post-mortem and got his medical records. It was then that I discovered that he'd been drugged with midazolam, fentanyl, levomepromazine, oxycodone, hyoscine butylbromide, and lorazepam. We got about 4 opiates there. He'd also been starved and dehydrated and left in a room on his own. Well, it takes a long time to learn those dances, mind. He'd not been washed or shaved and had green mould on his face. So we don't know these things, do we? We're not told these things, are we? Fucking hell. I later read in his notes that he tried to escape. That's why they sedated him. He had bruising and a cut knee. On the records, he was referred to as an anti-vaxxer. Wow. There was a do not resuscitate put on him without consent. When I inquired about the do not resuscitate, a doctor told me that no one has the right to demand cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Brilliant. Since Joey's terrible death, I have dealt with the Procurator Fiscal, public prosecutor in Scotland, the police, the NHS Complaints Department, and the Ombudsman. It's just disgusting, isn't it? Right, Annie Wilson, Kathleen with daughter Annie. So there we go. Oh, look that. Kathleen. I know, mate, Samantha. I don't like doing this, but it's got to be done, hasn't it? For people like me that usually bury my head in the sand, it's got to be done. My mother Kathleen was taken from the family home by the police while my son and I were at the cinema in the spring of 2019. The police falsely accused me of abusing her. I eventually discovered they had moved her to a care home in Hull. In November 2021, a DOLS, which is Deprivation of Liberty Safeguards Order, was put on her. That means she didn't have a say in anything. A month later, her carers informed me she stopped eating and drinking. I asked her about this, and she said, if they brought me food, I'd eat it. Can you believe this? In April 2022, a friend visited Mother and was shocked to discover she was on an end-of-life pathway. The friend told me that during the visit, Mother had said she was thirsty and had asked for water and tea. When I visited, she had a syringe driver in place. I'd been told she wasn't on painkillers, but records show that she was on morphine and midazolam. This is definitely going to be taken down, isn't it, this? They don't want the truth out there. Fuck off, YouTube. Mum died on April the 27th, 2022. She was 84. I'm convinced Mother was drugged to death, but it seems there's nothing I can do about it. But I won't stop until I find out the truth. I won't rest till this happens. So, Laura and Mum Moya. If I've got dirty hands, it's paint. It's fine. My mother, Moya Beryl, was involuntarily at the Luton and Dunstable Hospital over a 2-week period. She'd been admitted after having a stroke and suffered with dementia. Her life was hastily ended on December the 30th, 2024, 3 days before her 85th birthday. I visited her every day at the hospital. I asked questions and wrote everything down, much to the annoyance of the doctors and nurses. Very soon after she was admitted, I was told that Mum was agitated and that she kept ripping out her drip and catheter, so they put her on lorazepam. She was then put on a syringe driver and given midazolam, morphine and oxycodone. At 84, that would knock out a builder. Her drip was removed, which caused her to dehydrate. She was then left to die, undignified and alone, in a brightly lit side room. When I got to the hospital, she was still in that room, dead, her eyes and mouth wide open and her body uncovered. I noticed her wedding and engagement rings were missing. Wow! I asked a nurse about it, and later the engagement ring was found. The wedding ring remains missing to this day. And then we've got pictures of this absolute wanker. Look at him with his Jupiter's delight face. Look at that one. Look at that. Look at him laughing. What a fucking prick. So there was that. which is sorry that was so dark and depressing, but guess what? We live in dark and depressing times, and it's about time we talked about it. It's about time I open my mouth about it. I've been starting to open my mouth about other things that I'm pissed off about, and it's about time I started opening it about this. So let's have a look. What have we got now? Page 4, digital identity looms. This is going to take forever, but I think it's a good thing. Let's hope they don't take it off. Let's hope they don't take it off, eh? Digital identity looms. The government claims a data bill currently at the committee stage after its second reading in the Commons will improve public services and boost the UK economy by 10 billion. The Data Use and Access DUA bill will allow patient healthcare records to be accessed by all NHS trusts, GP surgeries and ambulance services. The 59-page bill, which underpins Labour's 10-year health plan, will require technology suppliers to ensure their systems comply with technical standards that will allow health records to be shared across different IT systems. Other measures include proposals to allow police to access personal data from police databases during investigations without having to manually record the justification for the search. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Campaign groups have raised concerns that the bill removes protection for individuals from companies and government departments using AI and automated decision-making to make significant decisions about people's lives. Fantastic. That's what we want. And could lead to data being shared for purposes it was not intended for. The bill will legislate on digital verification services, allowing companies that provide tools to verify people's identity to be certified and receive a government trust mark. Well, I don't trust you, the government. Bill fails to protect our civil liberties by Big Brother Watch. Civil Liberties campaign group Big Brother Watch is concerned that the Data Use and Access Bill threatens to weaken vital privacy and data protection rights in the UK, particularly in the context of automated decision-making, where millions of individuals' rights are at stake. A Big Brother Watch spokesman said, "We urge the government to amend the bill to maintain strong protections in the context of automated decisions, to protect the British public's privacy rights and uphold key rights to equality and non-discrimination." The campaign group claims the DUA bill will weaken protections around personal data processing, thereby reducing the scope of data protected by safeguards within data protection law. There is particular concern about the executive power to determine recognised legitimate interests, which will allow for more data to be processed with fewer safeguards than currently permitted. Where automated decision-making is currently broadly prohibited with specific expectations, the bill would permit it in all but a limited set of circumstances. This will strip the public of the right not to be subject to solely automated decisions, which risks exacerbating the likely possibility of unfair, opaque and discriminatory outcomes from ADM systems. Limiting individuals' rights to challenge ADM, permitting ADM use in law, enforcement and intelligence, with few safeguards for special category data, and giving the security of state executive control over the ADM regulatory framework through secondary legislation. In other words, there's not going to be a human being at the end of all this making decisions about, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do this. There's going to be AI. But some people say, oh, AI, don't worry about it. That's what we should be worrying about. The bill introduces a new, have you noticed though, right? Everybody was up in arms about AI and what's that knobhead called? That, what's that bloody AI bloke called, that bloody idiot? Musk. Oh, well, no, we don't want him. Oh, we don't want him bringing in AI and globalization, and we don't want to. Now his best buddy's Trump. Everybody's like, oh no, it's all right. No, it's fine. No, of course they should give him billions of pounds. But no, be all right. AI, be fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, Teslas. Oh, no, we don't want Teslas. Don't want Tesla cars. No, we want diesel cars. We're men. We drive diesel cars. Now he's friends with Trump. Oh, they're all right. I quite like it. I quite like a Tesla car. Ooh, fascism. He's a fascist. Moving on. The bill introduces a new regime for digital verification services. It sets out a series of rules governing the future use and oversight of digital identities as part of the government's roundup towards digital identity verification. It's what it's always been about. Digital ID is what this has always been about. And the oversight of digital identities as part of the government's roadmap towards digital identity verification. The framework currently lacks important safeguards and human rights principles that prevent the broad sharing of the public's identity data beyond its original purpose. You get a digital ID and you haven't had you ain't getting in that aeroplane. You ain't getting that job. You ain't getting that healthcare. You're not getting that insurance. You're not going to get that car on tick. Further, the bill misses the opportunity to take a positive, inclusive step and codify a right for members of the public to use non-digital ID where reasonably practicable. Such a right is vital to protect privacy and equality in the digital age. The right to use a non-digital ID where practicable would protect accessibility, inclusion and people's choice in how they choose to verify their identities when accessing public and private services, legally protecting the millions of people who cannot or do not want to hand over personal identity data online when an alternative is reasonably practicable. It's impossible. You can't actually do anything, or like, I'm just setting my art business up properly now. You may or may not have noticed. You might be pissed off with me posting pictures of fucking dragons every 5 minutes. But in order to do that, if I'm at craft fairs, I've got this, like, I want it to be cash, but it's impossible. If I say to somebody in the middle of Glastonbury, oh no, it's cash only, there's a cash point up the road, they go up the road or don't go up there, the cash point don't work, they're going to come back. I ain't going to make no money. Okay, I ain't got no money, so I need to sell that thing for £5. So I've had to get this thing where they take card payments. You've literally got to sign your life away. I had to literally hold up this thing with my picture of me, right? Photograph of me staring at this thing on Earth, and then I had to hold up my my car, driving license picture for like 3 minutes, and it's like, oh, we'll get back to you to see if you are who you say you are. We'll get back to you. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't be able to make any money at craft fairs. We're talking 20 quid if I'm lucky, without having to literally sell my soul. That's where we are. So in order to actually be, unless every single person is going to walk around with cash in their pocket and is prepared to give that to some poor sod like me at a bloody craft fair who just needs it to buy more fucking paint to sell at the craft fair, it's a bit circular, my business plan. Unless every single person just puts it down and says, absolutely not, we're doing this, we're going to be using cash, then what chance do we have? Everything is digital, and it's actually getting, I would say, it's almost 98% impossible to live if you are completely 100% off grid these days. I don't know what you guys think, but it's really difficult, and I'm really noticing it because I really pulled out of it for years and years and years and years and years, and then all of a sudden I can't do my job that I used to do and I used to love doing. So I'm like, shit, what can I do? Okay, paint stuff. And now I'm coming back into this mad world, and it's progressed so much that you can't do anything without telling them who you are and where you live and who you're fucking married to and what's your favourite fucking cup of tea. And it's almost impossible to live now without all of this absolute nonsense. Say hello to your digital twin. And Goodbye to Freedom from Manipulation and Restriction by Zara Ann Bourgeois. That's a good name. Simply put, digital ID is the entire body of information about a person that exists online. It is a tool to track, measure, and control the life of its respective digital twin via blockchain technology and geospatial data exchange. Digital twin. God, this world's gone wrong, hasn't it? We've gone wrong somewhere, haven't we? We took the wrong turn somewhere, didn't we? Digital twin. Digitally twinning the physical world unlocks unlimited opportunities for manipulation and control on all levels. It will become virtually impossible. This is literally what I was saying. And I've noticed a difference since I wasn't a business person to now still not being one, but trying to be. I've noticed a difference in I don't know, 10 years. I've noticed a difference. Digitally twinning, blah, 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 blah. Digitally twinning the physical world and looks blah, 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 blah. It will become virtually impossible to move, study, access services or healthcare, bank, file taxes, attend events and more unless you accept your digital twin and the digital ID leash that comes with it. This is literally what I was just saying. I've been living this shit. In fact, this is already happening in many places and is affecting people's lives to the degree that they feel restricted and unable to participate in social life in any meaningful capacity unless they submit to being twinned and ID'd. It's so true. We've got a couple of friends that if we get on a bus with them, oh no, we don't, got no cash. So we've got a card. They don't like using cards, so we use our card. And it's a boop on the bus now. Boop on, boop off. I mean, I'm sorry, what? Boop on, boop off. So there's that. And then we get to the actual pub, and then the pub's like, oh, we don't accept cash. And so then me and Mark are like, boop. And our friends are giving us the cash. And it's just like, they are more, they've got more morals than us because they are the ones that are only carrying around the cash. But if it weren't for me and Mark being hypocrites and going boop, we wouldn't get a fucking pint. So there's that. Once fully integrated into the surveillance grid, your digital twin provides limitless access to your valuable data. The digital twin becomes the main driver, and every decision and outcome associated with the twin takes precedence over the actual needs of the physical person, using the rationale of smarter, safer, more efficient. It always comes in threes, doesn't it? Magical threes. That's a way of brainwashing. They used to use it in the COVID all the time, didn't they? Build back better, and it's always in threes because then you get brainwashed. Under the auspices of trust building, safety, and cybersecurity, there will be a push to always expand and continuously maintain the invisible bars of the digital prison, with strict control over the digital parameters that define your digital twin, and consequently over your life. This resembles a house of distorted mirrors. Every reflection of the original is a new distorted iteration. The key details are only points of semblance. The details are warped, skewed, shuffled, and reassembled in a way that meets the specific environment's requirements. It's like tweaking a CV to fit a job posting. Eventually, the original's authenticity becomes irrelevant, and its face value is determined by the digital twin's behavior. God, that is so true, isn't it? It's even true on nonsense like how you portray yourself on Facebook. You never really put your worst selfie up there. How many hundreds of selfies get chucked in the bin before that one gets up there? The original one would have been like, but yeah, you know what I mean. You might not. Then the next iteration of the twin samples the existing replicas to form a new version tailored to the specific environment in question, and so on and so forth. The original is of little value and practically obsolete as the self-proliferating digital twinning becomes a far more efficient, cohesive, and system-centered mechanism of creating, populating, and driving simulations. It's a bit spiritual, this, isn't it, in a way? It's a bit multiverse in a way. This can be, and you know, we just get rid of the actual flesh and bone one eventually. We can't be doing with that one. We got it on here. We turn it on, turn it off when we want. We can't be doing with that one over there that keeps moaning that they want a cup of tea or something. We just have this one. Digital Liz. Some people would prefer that. Looking at you, Mark Fowd. Rude. Efficiency, cost effectiveness, and customer satisfaction are based on data-driven models. In other words, based on measurable impact. Human subjectivity and input are virtually eliminated. It's set for a passive mode which enables data sampling and harvesting. Brilliant. Digital twinning allows for creating a limitless inventory database for virtually every product, object, process, person, and environment on Earth. The ubiquitous implementation of decentralized digital infrastructure, massive data centers, global network connectivity, and blockchain ledgers forms the Web3 skeleton. Internet of Things, we're the things. This digital simulation is not just a digital twin of the physical world, but a contender for the latter's gradual obliteration. I see nothing but complete disaster. Every digital system has an architect of the human variety, at least for now. That's why I hate AI, especially AI art. Oh my God. That is programmed to produce preconceived outcomes or goals. The tech is man-made and not some objective moral system standing outside of humanity. Many of us have forgotten or are unaware that due to our own use of tech as a means of making our lives easier, the tech overlords are able to manipulate us without ever us knowing. It is like handing the keys over to the engine. Our sovereignty is being chipped away at a maddening speed without a sufficiently growing awareness of the dangers to stop it. And ultimately, how do we stop it? The manufactured consent and the reliance on tech that has been cultivated means that an entire generation has forgotten the path to self-reliance. I remember early in the pandemic, a friend who was wary of what was happening said, "It only takes one generation for the people to forget." So true. I think we've arrived. Take away mobile phones and watch chaos ensue. Well, that's interesting. What we got next? Do we want to read it all, or do I want to cherry pick? What do you think, everybody in the chat box? Do I cherry pick or do I read it all? This is the first one I've done of these. I don't know what's best. Do you think? Read it all, cherry pick? What do you think? I'll wait for the first person. I'm going to wait for one person to say read it all or cherry pick, and then I'm going to do what they say. So be quick. It's democracy, isn't it? Waiting. Cherry pick or read it all? I probably could have read it all by the time you actually get round to answering me. I'm just going to carry on until I see somebody reply to me. Debunking. Oh, cherry pick it all. Cherry bloody hell, Pete. Shut your cake hole. Cherry pick it all. Bloody hell. Johnny Fettler's thinking. Could take some time, Johnny, couldn't it, eh? Cherry pick. Samantha says cherry pick. She's the only one that's actually come up with a sensible bloody answer. You trust the girl to come up with a sensible answer. Right, I'll cherry pick. Thank you, Samantha. I'm going to cherry pick. I'm actually going to cherry pick the next one, so that's good. Debunking fossil fuels myth. Hidden science. Oil produced without organic matter. I'm actually really interested in this one because I'm not sure I believe in dinosaurs. What are you on about, you daft bitch? Well, I read something once that says that every single dinosaur bone you've ever seen in a museum isn't real. They make them in China. It's just plastic. And they say, oh no, because we couldn't have the real ones out because people would break them. They decompose. So we make them in China. But the only way we can, do you know, for years, I just used to think, oh, fossil fuels. I didn't realise it came from fossils. Even though, you know what I mean? You just, oh, fossil fuels. Oh, it comes from fossils, does it? Well, apparently not. Let's read. Shut up, Liz. Immutable style, remember? This ain't professional. All right. Hidden science. I said that bit. I'll say it again. Oil produced without organic matter. I read an article by Carol Brullier in Off Guardian recently and was intrigued by what she had to say about Margin Powell's. Sorry, I'm so rubbish at foreign names. I have read out Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, and I don't understand Mexican names and things like that. I just don't. I'm a bit thick, and I don't have respect for those sort of famous people enough to look it up. The amount of people that have had a go at me for not pronouncing it. This is unreadable. This is unreadable. How dare you? I just say delete. I just delete comments like that. It's my channel. I do what I want. And if you, I say I want free speech, but not when it comes to my own channel. You're going to be an arsehole about me. I'm going to delete you. So my point being, I'm probably going to say the names wrong, but that's fine. Margin, it's probably Marin or something, isn't it? Oh no, he's Dutch. Margin Powell's, Dutch documentary filmmaker. Carol talked in glowing terms about his latest film, The Primordial Code, The Burning Essence. Her review immediately resonated. Oh, this is by Sally Dean anyway. Her review immediately resonated with me. She said the film looks deeply into where we have come from, who we are, and where we are going as a species. So having watched this beautiful film, I was inspired to look at the rest of his output. In 2018, he released The Uncertainty Has Settled, in which he investigates the roots of agriculture and how globalization and climate politics have created radical changes in modern times. As the film progresses, Powell's starts to question the green agenda and pulls together arguments from both sides. It is a well-balanced exploration, but by the end of the film, he realizes that the justification for a transition to alternative energy sources is based on a false premise. His final interview is with Professor Vladimir Kucherov, a Swedish-based Russian geologist who introduces Powell's to the theory of the abiotic origin, i.e. non-organic in nature, of oil and gas. At this point, my ears pricked up, as it took me back to something a friend, someone who had worked as an engineer in the oil industry, had said a few years ago. We all knew that oil was self-replicating. I've heard this so many times. I've just never really understood it because I'm not a clever person. We all knew that oil was self-replicating. This was somebody that used to work in the oil industry. Wanting to know more at the time, I acquired a book by Dr. Jerome Corsi. I've heard of him. Published in 2012, entitled The Great Oil Conspiracy, How the US Government Hid the Nazi Discovery of Abiotic Oil from the American People. Corsi claims Germany's fuel requirements began to move in the opening decade of the 20th century, from coal to petroleum. Without its own reserves of oil, the country could not progress as a viable industrial economy. So in the early 1920s, two German chemists, Franz Fischer and Hans Tropsch, replicated the natural process of oil production, which they believed occurred under intense pressure in the deep layers of the earth. What became known as the Fischer-Tropsch process, that's TROPSCH, enabled Germany to produce synthetic oil from coal. At the start of the war, Germany had 14 synthetic fuel plants in full operation and 6 more under construction, producing approximately 95% of the aviation fuel used by the Luftwaffe. Corsi says that what remains even today locked away within the Fischer-Tropsch equations is an understanding that all hydrocarbon fuels are abiotic in origin, produced naturally in the mantle of the earth on a continuous basis without the involvement of any organic material whatsoever. It presents a direct challenge to the fossil fuel theory of the origin of oil. As an aside, a film called The Formula was released in 1980, starring Marlon Brando and George C. Scott. The brief synopsis on IMDb reads, "The synthetic fuel production formula invented by the Nazis at the end of World War II, is sought by some who aim to sell it, and by others who wish to destroy it. Hidden in plain sight? In Russia, an outspoken proponent of the abiogenic origins of oil was Nikolai Kudryavtsev, a Russian petroleum geologist. By 1951, he had articulated what today has become known as the Russian-Ukrainian theory of deep abiotic petroleum oranges. Petroleum oranges, that's what it says. Dozens of Russian scientists have followed his lead, stating that the chemical process by which hydrocarbons are produced were a natural product of the earth itself, manufactured at deep levels where there never were any plants or animals. They concluded that abundant oil could be found in Russia if only wells were drilled deep enough. 2 years after my initial investigation, I am listening to Powell's talking to Khrushchev. I'm so sorry, I'm so shit at names. And my interest in this subject is reignited. Investigating further, I stumble upon Colonel L. Fletcher Prouty, a Pentagon insider with 23 years military experience, who, in various interviews following his retirement, revealed some of the inner workings of the American government's clandestine operations. He was fictionalized as Mr. X in Oliver Stone's 1991 film JFK. Oh, well, we've got something on it. Got something on him in here in a minute. In the 1994 interview, he emphatically states that oil is a self-replicating substance. It is the second most prevalent liquid on Earth, and no fossils were required to make it. He goes on to state that no fossil is found below 16,000 feet, and drilling for oil generally starts at 30,000 feet. Oh, black goo, everybody. Yeah, black goo, as Miles Johnson calls it. The concept of fossil fuels being derived from formerly living matter was cemented in the minds of the American public by oil companies such as Sinclair Petroleum. In the 1930s, it developed an advertising campaign with Dino the dinosaur as its logo. Dino the dinosaur. At the 1964 New York World's Fair, Sinclair's Dino Land exhibit was one of the main attractions, and here Dino and 8 more life-sized representations of other species of dinosaurs were exhibited and animated. Dino is just as popular today, and his image appears not to have changed since the 1930s. The myth that oil and gas are fossil fuels derived from former plant and animal dinosaurs persists, and the public are still led to believe that they are scarce resources. Over in England in 1982, the astronomer Fred Hoyle made his own opinion known when he said the suggestion that petroleum might have arisen from some transformation of squashed fish or biological detritus is surely the silliest notion to have been entertained by substantial numbers of persons over an extended period of time. Returning to Powell's interview with Khrushchev, which is where I begin, the Russian geologist explains, with the help of a flip chart and pen, how infinite quantities of oil and gas are produced 100 to 200 kilometers below the surface of the Earth. Powell's, a little bemused, states, "We could live in balance and peace with oil, which would economically and politically change the world on such a big scale I can't imagine." Khrushchev pauses for a moment and then says, "Correct." Powell then asks, "Why am I not seeing or reading of this in mainstream media?" Khrushchev smiles. "Your question is your answer." And it's further reading. The Deep Hot Biosphere, The Myth of Fossil Fuels by Thomas Gold. Black Gold Stranglehold, The Myth of Scarcity and the Politics of Oil, Jerome R. Corsi and Craig R. Smith. The Great Oil Conspiracy. It has been known since the end of World War II that oil is not a fossil fuel, it is abiotic. And they just 2 websites which are unpronounceable. L. Fletcher Prouty. Oil is not a fossil fuel, it is the second most prevalent liquid on Earth. Makes you think, doesn't it, right? We're all like, oh, what is it? 0 point energy. Or we could get 0 point energy for the aliens. We need some 0 point energy. And then we could all just like have as much fuel as we want, and everybody would be all right. We wouldn't have to work. I'm sorry, we don't need 0 point energy if the earth is constantly making bloody oil. We could just have it in abundance if there weren't greedy bastards that are trying to lie to us to tell us we've only got two pints left. What? Yeah, we've got 2 pints of oil left, and that's got to last you. What do you mean? It's got to last you forever. So it's going to be £1 million a drop. Because we believe that bullshit. We're in the mess we're in now, aren't we? And this is probably why we're going to be taken down off YouTube, because we're reading the light. Liz in the light. That was a good one, that, wasn't it? I quite enjoyed that one. Electric car bullshit. I quite agree. Jimmy, well, I quite bloody agree. Green tea. Hi, Green tea. What have we got? Let's read out some people. Black Goose, Samantha and Peter saying, replication need not be DNA. You can tell this is Pete, it's all clever. Replication need not be DNA mediated. Prisons, for example. Bloody hell, Pete, you're above my bloody head, I tell you. Here he goes again. Enough ZPE in a cubic centimetre to boil all the oceans on Earth, apparently. Oh, awaken your mind. Hello.